3, 2, 1. Welcome to the Men Tyre podcast episode, drum roll, 10. We have made it to episode 10, guys. Look at this. This is amazing. 10 episodes in, and they didn't give us like more than 3. So I don't know, first of all, how we've gotten to this point. Thank you to the two of you, because this is amazing. And thank you to everybody out there who is listening to us, all 4 of you. So we want to thank you, the fans and the followers and all that. So I'm Bill. You already know me. You know my cohorts, Brian and Matt, who is not in Bangor today, although I'm supposing he's probably going to say it at some point. So here we are, episode 10. Today we have a very special guest with us, and this is one of those times where you're only going to see 3 of us today because, well, our special guest is none other than Brian Ellis, current senior warden of Mount Blue Lodge and current senior warden at Northern Star Lodge, past grand senior deacon of the Grand Lodge of Maine. Brian Ellis, thank you for joining us today.
Good to be here, as always.
You had no choice.
Right.
We do want to say that we extend our condolences to the island that you're stuck on. We're spending a lot of money getting our crew out there to get you on film. So I just want to say, thanks for joining us all the way from Bailey's Island.
No problem. Glad as long as the reception is good from here, we're okay. We're okay. It's very hot over here. I don't know about over there, but
yeah, the Wi-Fi there is amazing.
Yes.
Before we get started, I have a disclaimer I need to read, the same as all of our episodes. The views and opinions expressed in this episode are those of the participants only and not represented. Yeah, they don't represent the statements of Grand Lodge of Maine. So, Brian, what don't we know about you? Can you tell us a little bit about yourself? We already know that you like long walks on the beach, but can you tell us how your Masonic journey started, your work, your military background, history, all that stuff? Tell us the stuff that we don't know.
Yeah, sure. First off, a 20-year Navy veteran. That's kind of where I started. Joined the military right after high school. Did that for a time. I was a yeoman in the Navy, and for layman's terms, it's an administrative assistant. Worked for executive officers, worked for dignitary people, kind of kept them out of trouble, if you will. Did that for 20, retired, came home, and my dad, who was a 58-year Mason, gave me an application and said, I should be a Mason. And so since I had time on my hands and was retired, I was like, yeah, sure. And when your dad tells you to do something, you go do it. So he was out of Blue Mountain Lodge at the time, so that's where I followed suit, did that. Did my degrees. I will never forget my EA degree because it was in the middle of February. And when I was doing my degree, the furnace decided to not work. So that was my first inclination of masonry, that it was very cold. But it was a great time. And as I was doing my degrees, I discovered that there was something very special about masonry, coming from the military. There was just something special about it. And I remember doing my Master Mason degree, and afterwards I asked the brethren there, was there anything that I could not do in masonry, just to make sure I didn't go somewhere where I shouldn't have. And I remember the master at the time told me you can go to any event you want to in masonry, and that kind of fired me up a little bit. It was like, oh, so it's open door to go do all these things. So one day I was on my computer and was going through the Grand Lodge website, and I came across the calendar, and the Google form popped up, and there was all these events going on. And I decided, on a Saturday I had nothing to do, so I was like, I'll go to an event, whatever event's on the calendar, I'll go do it and go check it out. And I remember the first one I did was the woodchopper degree, which for those who haven't done it or know about it, we call it a fun degree, and I won't go into that. So I did that one. That was the first one I ever did, and I had a blast. And then I remember the second one was the Maine Masonic College. They put on a class, and so I attended that one. So just that started really my Masonic journey, and I just enjoyed the traveling and getting to know brethren that I never would have known had I not started traveling. So I was doing that, and then I remember getting a phone call, but I don't know who it was. and asking me if I would like to be the Grand Sword Bearer for the Grand Lodge of Maine. This was about 40 months into when I was a Master Mason. Don't know who it was, but I knew Grand Lodge was a special thing, and I said yes right away to it. And they said, okay, be in Portland on this day at this time, and and so I did. They gave me a big black case with a sword in it, and I walked down Portland. But that was the start of my Grand Lodge experience. So that's where I've started up to here, and since then I have gotten myself, into a lot of the different bodies and into education. Have enjoyed exploring the education part of Masonry. It is an amazing avenue to go down, and I've continued to go down that so much that I've also met amazing brethren, like yourselves, who share that interest.
Well, first of all, I want to back up. Number one, thank you for your service, and number two, I can't believe you're retired. That's crazy to me. Like, honestly, that's insane. Number three, the fact that the furnace quit and that was your first experience into masonry explains a lot about your current position as senior warden. I'm now starting to see the coldness come into play now. So yeah, no, that's all great information. So that's pretty cool that they call like I want to find out if anybody's listening to this and can tell us who called Brian and started him at Grand Lodge. First of all, we need to hear from you because we need to talk. You have created a monster. Second of all, I would love to find out just for Brian's sake, like who that was. That's a missing piece.
Yeah, yeah, it was pretty neat. It was a very honored phone call. But still, yeah, don't know who that was to that day, but that's where it started. Yeah. And to the Navy comment, if you ever talk to Most Worshipful Richard Netto, he swears that I was 12 years old when I joined, but now he calls me 15 because I've aged a little bit. So that's the running joke there. So, yeah.
So you're currently serving as senior warden in multiple places: Northern Star Lodge, number 28, Blue Mountain Lodge, number 67, and the Maine Lodge Research, which they do have a number, it's 9,000. What have those different lodges taught you about leadership, and how does each one shape the way that you approach the East one day?
Yeah, I think I've learned from being a part of Blue Mountain, Northern Star, and traveling like I have. Every lodge is different. Every single lodge has different characters, different uniques about it, different ways about it. And as senior warden, it's I think it's a good advantage and interest to be able to see how different lodges run. Every lodge has a different history to it. Every lodge has a different way of how they conduct their business, if you will. And as a senior warden, you get the opportunity to share and get involved in those uniquenesses, and they can kind of help you fine tune yourself. I think, as senior warden, I've learned some things from those different lodges of how I would like to do some things when my time comes to the east, or also to support the lodge as senior warden. Learning how to be around different brethren, different emotions of brethren. It helps form that you can connect with those different people. Some are energetic, some are not, some are quiet, some are loud. You learn about all that in the different community in the different areas, and the communities are different. Phillips is much more different than North Anson, even though they're maybe 40 minutes apart. Different communities, different people, different focuses, and I think and that really gives you a unique to experience those as senior warden.
So I guess the one thing I took away from that was that managing people and managing their different their different styles is probably one of the leadership qualities and traits that you've taken away as being a senior ward in those different lodges.
Yeah, yeah, I think so. And what I've enjoyed about senior warden, one working with Matt as master and Chris Robb, who is the master of Blue Mountain, I've enjoyed testing myself as to what programs I would like to do and are doing in each lodge. And I've learned that each lodge is different. One program in North Anson may not work as well in Blue Mountain, or it may. They may both work at the same time. So it's kind of a neat to get to experiment with doing different lodges to see what works, what doesn't.
So have you learned anything? Obviously, Matt being worshipful is much different than your Blue Mountain worshipful. Have you learned anything for when you go to the East eventually? Have you learned anything from those differences in leadership styles?
Yeah, no, I think absolutely. I've learned to. It's important to communicate with your master. I think that's the big thing as senior warden. If you're a senior warden, you should have a really good relationship with your master. You should, because you are going to take that next step, if you will. But also, the worshipful master has 20, 30, 40 brethren that he's, helping with. So as senior warden, you can help him do that and kind of take some things off his plate if you're with that to help him prepare for the meetings, help him, with anything that comes along. That's kind of the view I see as senior warden in doing that. But, yeah, they both have different personalities, but the chair is still the same, if you will. So, just offering that helping hand as a brother, you can't go wrong.
I will say one thing I've seen you
One of the things.
do as senior warden is make Matt cry on a regular basis. So is that an inherent trait of a senior warden?
I think
I
so. No, I think
That's one of the
so.
things I do appreciate a lot about you, Brian, is you take care of the things like sick and distressed. You take care of like the brethren like, outside of the lodge, more or less. While you're sitting over your watch. And yeah, it's something I see you working towards that aspect of being a senior warden.
Yeah, I've enjoyed that seat very, very. I've enjoyed it very much. It's a learning chair for anyone that's coming up to it or anybody that wants to aspire to it. But you really do get the opportunity to almost kind of like view yourself in the East, but even though you're not in it yet, how do you want to make your programs and how do you want to be as a brother and a person, before you take the East? You kind of see the environment of the lodge and you kind of self-reflect of how I want to be as a person to those brethren. And also the history of the lodge. Matt, we've got a beautiful lodge in North Anson that's gone back to 1818. That's a lot of history.
Yeah,
That's a lot of brethren have gone through there. Blue Mountain is no different. Blue Mountain was founded in 1902. So there is a lot of history right there. And as we take the East, I think it's important to remember that history really is important, and we've got to be able to walk in that history and preserve it.
Do you think it's important as a senior warden to work closely with your worshipful while you can in preparation?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's important to be almost like the best friend of the master. I think they should have a relationship that is completely open because it helps the worshipful master, number one, but that relation too, because if the worshipful master's not there at one meeting, guess who steps up is the senior warden, so it's important to have that relationship. And then on the other side, it's very important to have a relationship with my junior warden because he's next in line. He's going to take my chair and I, want to see him succeed. Yeah, I believe that relationship is very, very important of the junior warden, senior warden, worshipful master. That should be a relationship very close and very tied together. Yeah.
I guess my next follow up question is communication. Do you feel that the communication between those two or more chairs is just as vital, on a daily basis as it is in a business meeting?
Yeah, I think so. I think if you have a strong warden and master relationship where you're talking all the time, communication's going through, I think that reflects to the brethren going down. I really do because you're so used to communicating with each other that you're going to bring that to the brethren of the other chairs. The other chair, those brethren, I think, see that environment and they're willing to communicate also. Yeah, I think it's a relationship. A good one is a very good communicative relationship. Not always perfect. We don't always communicate, well, or some, are not good at communicating, but we can find out those quirks, if you will, and do it, do it on their level, if you will. There's always ways to do that.
you've been deeply involved with Masonic education through the Maine Masonic College, Brian. And the Committee of Masonic Education and Lodge Services. In your opinion, what is the biggest educational need right now in Maine Freemasonry?
I think right now it is exposure, getting us out there that we have education available and getting it to brethren that are desiring to have that education. Education, it can be very vast. It can be as simple as a 5-second talk, or it could be, an hour long discussion where we deep dive into something. Rumor has it, I love a good rabbit hole of masonry. That's probably why I'm in the college the way I am. But there are brethren in Maine, and I've seen it through the traveling, who really dig the deepness and depth of masonry education. They love it. They want to know more of it. They just don't know how to receive it, if you will. And that's where we can accept that challenge as the college and give it to our Blue Lodge members is if you're looking for more education, this is how we can do it. We just got to get it out there to the masses, if you will. I think we've done a good job of that here in the past few years. We now have an education committee that Brother Bill, you're on it with me. We have, the Grand Master is now is fully supporting it. Not that the others haven't, they have, but he's kind of promoting it and getting it out there to the leadership. So I think we're doing a very good job of that. But that's probably that's the biggest one is just getting it out there saying, hey, this information is available, and it can be anything from just learning a little bit about the an apprentice degree to learning something deeper than that on a different channel that we can bring it to you.
There's a lot of research. We're both members of that. How do you see that fit into the education side of things?
Yeah, I think it's very important and unique because they are the main lodge of research. They study Masonic stuff that's happened in Maine and they bring it to light and things like that. I think that's hugely important. Education, we still don't want to forget our roots, which is Maine, and Maine is rich in Masonic history. It really does, really is, from when we were, chartered as a Grand Lodge to all of these individual Blue Lodges that go back very, very, deep into history. They have a great uniqueness about them that they can bring that forward and do that. So, yeah.
So what do you think as a young Mason, what do you think the first thing is your first like piece of advice to a young Mason that's interested in education? What's your bit of advice to them?
Find some brethren that are interested in education with you and have those conversations with them. Introduce yourself. Grab some books, if you will. There's many Masonic books out there. Read some of them. Go to degrees. Go to these degrees and go to them and listen to them. As we're young Masons and we're in degrees, we don't really hear much because we're going through the process, if you will. But once we're Master Masons, go to these degrees and take a moment, and just sit back and listen to it. And I call it the aha moment. Find some aha moments that you see that you really like and study them. Study those. It could be anything from the gavel. It could be anything to, you hear something that really reflected to you and study that. And then again, find some brethren that find that like-mindedness and have conversations because those conversations will keep you up till 2 a.m. They're great.
It's the ones that start at 2 o'clock in the morning that worry me.
Yeah. Yep.
So now you have been appointed to many offices in the Grand Lodge. How do you think that happened? And then also, along that line, do you think that traveling kind of helped with that process?
Yeah, I think so. When I first became Grand Sword Bearer, way back when, first of all, it was an honor to be asked by Grand Lodge. Whoever asked me to be on Grand Lodge, it was an honor and a privilege to be asked to do that. And when that happened, I felt it also was a sense of duty. When a Grand Lodge asked me to be a part of it, Brother Bill, you maybe can echo that because you're in Grand Lodge right now. You feel you need to be at those events. That you're asked, it's been honored of you, but it's a sense of duty to be at those. So. I was traveling anyway, but I traveled to the Grand Lodge events and went to these rededications and went to the district meetings and things like that. And maybe through that, the other past Grand Masters saw something and continued to ask me to stay on. I continued to say yes because anytime a Grand Master asks me to do something, it's an honor to do so and without question. So. And I had a blessed opportunity to stay on for as long as I had. It was very blessed to do that. Got to go to different events outside the state too and meet some brethren there. That whole thing was the opportunity I had. And traveling 1000% is the reason why I think that happened. I know we hear about it from a lot of our other episodes we've done, but I will say if you want to see the best of Masonry and get the most of it, go travel. That will be the best blessing you will ever have in Masonry. My dad told me one thing about Masonry is you will get out of it what you put into it. And if you put in the traveling, you will get so much more than you ever realized.
I'll echo that 100%. It was one of the reasons I met the two of you guys was because of traveling. And, also on that topic I don't know if it's specific to Maine, but the rookie program, that's something that also promotes the travel here in Maine. if you're a young Mason and you don't know about the rookie program, we'll provide some information on that, or talk to your Grand Lodge officers about it.
I can bring up, bring up in my, I was the number two class of that one of the rookie program. I think it was back in 2016, I got mine. And I found it while I was exploring the website, Grand Lodge, and that hooked me right away. And I agree. That was the best thing that I ever did because one, I liked traveling. And then two, I'm a Navy guy. We like checklists. We like, completing something and turning it in, if you will. That did just that. It gave me a checklist of what to do while I was traveling. So I was like, yeah, I might as well. Best thing that ever happened. That program is amazing. And anybody, I agree with you, Bill. Anybody that's thinking about traveling is a brand new Mason, or if you're a master in a lodge, give them that program and encourage them to go do it and do it with them. Be the master that goes with them because you'll both win. It's a beautiful program.
It sure is.
Back on that education, what do you think makes Masonic education truly effective? And is it like history, symbolism, personal reflection?
Yeah, I think it's all the above, really. I think all of it is attractive to Masonic history, and every brother has a part of Masonry that they love doing, whether it's ritual, whether it's symbolism, whether it's just the culture of it. Every Mason has one that they really like, and all the brethren can kind of get together and just have a conversation about anything about that, and it's just wonderful to have. You can have those conversations in your Blue Lodge. You can have them again, on the phone. You can have them anywhere, but they all really provide a uniqueness of bringing up just conversations and great paperwork, and really I've met some brethren that are just phenomenal educators and just phenomenal writers, and they just love Masonic symbolism and education. But it can start anywhere. Whatever your fancy is, go with that because it's not, you're not wrong.
So you talked about those different facets that everybody has their little niche that they fill into. What's yours?
Yeah, not saying no. That's my niche.
That's all three of ours, actually.
Yes. My niche is I love the craft. I love the craft. I love the brethren that are in this fraternity. It is amazing. And I do give Maine a lot of credit. Maine is so active in Masonry. It is. It is an active state. Everybody is doing something from whether it's a dinner for a fundraiser, wood chopper degree, college degree work. Maine is so active, and there's so many good brethren that are doing it that I love getting involved with it and meeting those brethren, talking to a 75-year Mason, and getting a chance to shake his hand, meeting a brand new Mason and he had, asking for advice about what he should do, talking to those people, those brethren, talking to a past Grand Master. It's just an amazing thing about this fraternity, and it just, I love it so much that you just want to get immersed in it. You do.
Well, I want to thank you for one of the things specifically on the education side. One of the early involvements that I had with you was it was along with Matt too. You brought me in on a Zoom call with some brethren over in New Hampshire, and that was on an education piece. And man, I'll tell you, that opened up my eyes more than anything else, I think, to just the width of education opportunity that there is in Masonry. It's everywhere.
Yeah, during COVID, when COVID hit, and of course, we shut down where we couldn't travel anymore. One, I went through withdrawals, number one, because I couldn't travel anymore. But Masonic education took off because they could still do education, via Zoom and virtually. So having nothing to do because you couldn't travel anymore, I would go on Zoom and go to these different education seminars. And, I couldn't travel by car, but you could travel virtually, and you could probably do 4 or 5 lectures a night easily because you could do one in Maine, you'd go to New Hampshire to another one, you'd go to Arizona, you'd go to the Philippines. But by doing that, I met some amazing brethren, and I realized that Masonry is gigantic and it is all walks of life. But I'm still friends with brethren that I met back in COVID today who are just phenomenal Masons from all over the world.
Very
We
nice.
talk pretty often. Yeah, we talk pretty often about the different avenues that we can find those education because they still hold Zoom, meetings like that and educational pieces like that. What advice would you give for brethren that are interested in finding those different avenues? We've got our own little network where we, search and stuff, and we're always on Facebook pretty much anyways, but there are other avenues that you look into pretty frequently for those opportunities. Can you give us some advice on that?
Yeah, the best thing I can say is if you're interested in education, if you find say you find a virtual podcast somewhere, go there. Talk to the brethren that are in that podcast. Give them a shout or and talk to them on the chat room there, um, and they'll more than likely give you another link to another chat, if you will, and they'll give you another link to another research, and it just explodes from there. Uh, we talk about talking to brethren, in lodges. Do the same thing if you're on a virtual education thing. Talk to them.
Yeah, and you can name drop Tyre too if you'd like.
You can. I don't know if it's going to get you anything, but you can try. Yeah. So Brian, what has York Rite or Scottish Rite given you that Blue Lodge did not? And what has Blue Lodge given you that no appendant body can replace?
So Scottish Rite and York Rite, they give you an opportunity to explore Masonry a little bit deeper. Now, Scottish Rite gives you an opportunity to expand beyond the original 3 degrees, if you will. So, for those who don't know Scottish Rite, little spoiler, there's 29 degrees in Scottish Rite. So, you get the opportunity to see different degrees, see some more core values, and really grow your light, if you will, in Masonry. York Rite, in my opinion, fills in the holes of the first 3 degrees. They go in different storylines based on those degrees. I won't go into spoilers for those who aren't in that body, but it really gives you an opportunity to fill in gaps that you may not have known. Uh, Blue Lodge just, the appendant bodies will never replace the heart of Blue Lodge Masonry, and that whole journey of coming into masonry as an apprentice to being raised as a master mason. Those 3 degrees in themselves can never be replaced by any appendant body just because they're the heart of what we are. They're the heart of what we do in a symbolism. But the appendant bodies, if anybody is thinking of going beyond and learning some more, Scotch Rite, York Rite, beautiful bodies. I love them both. They both bring a uniqueness to masonry that you may not see if you don't join them per se. Gives you more values, but the heart of masonry is and always will be the Blue Lodges.
So now the second half of that is what has Blue Lodge given you that no other appendant body could?
It gave me a foundation to start my fraternity. And the ironic thing about it that I learned was, when I was going through my Blue Lodges, I knew those brethren, right? But when I decided to join Scottish Rite, I saw familiar faces. I was like, oh, you're in my Blue Lodge, and I know you, and I know you. So honestly, I met new brethren, but really, I was still journeying with the same brethren that I had before, and that was really neat, So I got to solidify those bonds a little bit more and become a little bit tighter with them, if you will, because I already knew them, and now we're going through this journey to the next phase there. But Blue Lodge is just those brethren. You have a fraternal bond with them because you're in that lodge together for the long haul.
So you're involved in both the practical side of masonry and the lodge leadership district work, and the intellectual side through research and education, Brian. And how do you balance masonry as something we do with masonry as something we study?
Yeah, I think it's masonry is about believing in who you are and believing in the fraternity. The fraternity has these core values, and they have these building blocks of who you should be, just kind of as a person. And it just brings out the best in you. Uh, we always carry that outside the lodge. I hear that from a lot of Masons too, is who we are in the Blue Lodge is who we should always be outside the lodge. We're always being asked, what is Masonry, or who is a Mason? Well, he's the person that's, working his job, that's walking down the street. We carry ourselves as we should be in Blue Lodge. And I think that's very, very important. And the best way to do that is if you're able to take all these little parts of masonry, the spiritual, the the actual masonry, maybe the education, put it all together, and you'll form yourself into one person of who you want to be and who you believe in. Um, Most Worshipful Virgineto, not to copy him, but he talked about the rough ashlar and the smooth ashlar, and we're always rough ashlars. We're this stone, right? That's got all of these chinks and holes in it that we're trying to perfect, and we're always going to do that. Where one day we hope to be that smooth person, but it's a constant work. But the beauty of it is having the brethren to do it together. We have our own journey, but we're never alone, and I think that's truly truly important to do that. And I think that's something we can give to the community and show the community like we're people just like everybody else, but we can give you something and come be a part of something that really is special.
Yeah.
So if a newly raised Master Mason came to you and said, Brian, where do I go next? How would you help them decide between York Rite, Scottish Rite, Shrine, Lodge of Research, Masonic College, or simply just staying focused on his Blue Lodge?
Yes.
Yeah, I had a feeling.
Yes.
Had a feeling.
No, that's my answer to that is, and I would, I kind of would answer the question back is what interests you right away? If your attraction is Scottish Rite, go ahead and go do Scottish Rite because it's an amazing body. If you want to go do York Rite first, go ahead and do York Rite. If you want to be a shrine, go be a shrine. Everybody, you can't go wrong with it. They're great in their own individual way. They're great together. So what I would, kind of what I would do for a new Mason who comes and says, "Hey, I want to be a Scotch Rite Mason," I would help him get there. And not only help him, I would be there for him also. I think that's very important. I think it's important to not only tell him, hey, well, I'll get you there, sure, but I'm going to go with you along the way and kind of, be that support for you. I think that's important. And I think it's also important to guide him back to the Blue Lodge because I say it first, Blue Lodge is the most important body in Masonry, period. Without Blue Lodge, we don't have the appendant bodies. We just don't. So it's very important that we always come back to center, which is our Blue Lodge. But I encourage anyone and any Mason that wants to expand their knowledge to go ahead, go be a Scotch Rite Mason. It's great. Go be a York Rite. Go be a Shriner. They're all great bodies. But for myself, if a new Mason wants to do it, I'd love to be there beside him and support him. And even if they didn't want to do a pendant body for a while, there is nothing wrong with that either. And not saying if they wanted to join Scottish Rite the next day and they were passionate about it, I would help them by all means. The path is our own. But if anybody doesn't want to do an independent body and wants to just do Blue Lodge for a while, that is perfectly fine. That you can never go wrong supporting your Blue Lodge and just doing that for whoever time you feel until you're ready for for something else that you want to do. Absolutely.
Now, see, that would have been my answer right there because I, right out of the gate, like I joined Scottish Rite, I joined York Rite, I joined everything that I could right up front. And like 2 months in, I was like, oh my God, what have I done? And, I didn't realize how much work can actually be done in Blue Lodge without those appendant bodies right off. So, those appendant bodies do have their certain aspects that I love, but there's so much work to be done in Blue Lodge and the foundation's there that for me, and that again, this is a personal thing for me, that right now that's where I need to concentrate. So that would obviously be what I'd tell a brand new Master Mason.
So I'll give you a story about how I joined Scottish Rite, and I think you'll enjoy this one as I'm looking through it. So as I was traveling with the rookie program and looking at the calendar, I looked on it and it said SR on that 14, I'll never forget, 4, 14, 16, something like that. Auburn, 9 o'clock. So I was like, okay, I'll go. Not knowing anything about it. No idea. I just knew it was an event. It was in Auburn. I'm like, okay, I'll do that. Something in my head told me to bring my checkbook. Just something said, hey, bring your checkbook. You might need it. So I brought it. So I get up, I go to Auburn, and I go in, and Ken Richardson at the time was there, and he looks at me and he goes, can I help you? And I was like, yeah, I'm here for this SR event. He goes, to Scottish Rite? I'm like, sure. And he goes, are you a member? I was like, no, I'm just a Mason. And I just joined, maybe probably wasn't even 6 months ago. And bless his heart, I love him for it. He didn't kick me out. He didn't look at me weird. He handed me an application. He said, take 5 minutes, fill this out. And I said, and I did, no problem. He says, do you have the money to pay for today? And I had my checkbook on hand. I was like, yes, I can pay it. He signed it. He found another brother to sign it. That's how I joined the Scottish Rite in Maine Masonry, was completely by accident and just completely wanting to travel. But that's how I started. I got 4 degrees that day. That's when I met some brethren. And the following week, they were doing 2 more degrees in Portland. And so they asked me if I'd like to go. And I was like, yeah, I've got nothing going on. Sure, I'll go down. So I went to Portland the next week. They were doing 2 degrees, and then they needed somebody to be a guard, which was just holding a stick like this on stage. And they looked at me as like, do you want to be a guard? And I was like, sure, I can do that. Why not? Well, that started my spearheading of being a part of the degrees and things like that. So it really was by chance that I joined Scottish Rite, but I'm always thankful to now illustrious Ken Richardson, because he really treated me like a person, just like a brother, and just helped me get there. So from someone that had deer in the headlights to being Scottish right now was a neat story, and I'll never forget that.
But guess what time it is?
I've got 5:31.
Lightning
That's right
round.
there.
Lightning round.
Short answers, long questions. Is that how it is? No, seriously. Are you ready for this?
Yeah, they'll all be senior warden
Dude.
answers, so I'm ready.
Oh,
Okay.
God. All right. Matt, take it away.
Favorite lodge you've sat in?
The one in Washington, D.C. that George Washington got his Master Mason degree in.
Ritual or education?
Education.
Most underrated officer's chair?
Junior warden.
Best Masonic meal?
Anything without green beans.
One word to describe Northern Star Lodge?
Harmony.
Blue Mountain Lodge?
Leadership.
History or symbolism?
Symbolism.
Favorite Masonic book?
Morals and Dogma by Albert Pike. You can't read it. You cannot read that book cover to cover, but I'll tell you what, if you can take time with it, that book is amazing.
Most misunderstood Masonic lesson?
Ooh. The Winding Stairs.
Stated meeting or degree night?
Degree night. No question.
Best advice for a new Mason?
Enjoy the journey.
Apron, jewel, or gavel?
Apron.
Research paper or roundtable discussion?
Roundtable discussion.
Most important working tool?
Ooh, 24-inch gauge, because I don't follow it.
None of us do.
Favorite degree to watch?
EA degree.
Favorite degree to participate in?
Master Mason.
Coffee before lodge or after lodge?
During?
That's the right answer. Best part of being senior warden?
Helping the worshipful master. I really have enjoyed doing that very, very much. That's a relationship that I enjoy. And I don't yell at him. That's a miscommunication.
No, he just threatens me with heavy objects. The hardest part of being senior warden?
Ooh, the hardest part about being senior
Also
warden.
dealing with the worshipful master.
Yeah, no, I think the hardest part is getting ready to be master in the East. I think that's the hardest part, because you can prepare all you want to, but you're always going to get surprises, which
Yeah.
is fine. But I think that's the hardest part is just getting ready for that East when the time comes.
One word to describe Maine Masonry?
Amazing. Really, Maine Masonry is really amazing.
Lodge education, just 5 minutes or a whole educational program?
I love the 5-minute ones here a lot, but I think a whole education is great. You can learn a lot of things, and you can learn about brethren in those times.
Masonic College, history, leadership, or symbolism?
Symbolism.
Best lodge event, meal, a degree, or an education?
A degree.
One Masonic topic you could talk about for hours?
Actually, we talked about this with the brethren. The Knight Templar.
What keeps you coming back?
The brothers. Brothers keep me coming back. We have amazing brethren. And, I'll go into is myself. Improving myself in masonry always keeps me coming back.
Boxers or briefs?
Socks.
That wasn't on the list. So that is the end of the lightning round. You passed. Congratulations to be senior warden again next year.
Yeah.
So the last question on the list is our special chat question. I'm going to throw it out to you first, then we'll put it in the chat later on. If you could instantly become an expert at one completely useless skill, what would it be and why?
You always say, you always, I don't know if you ever have, you're the master of useless knowledge. If I could teach that to people and they get no, education from that, I could teach you all the sports, knowledge and movie knowledges that would get you nowhere in life. I could probably do that pretty well.
So I want to take a second and thank Brian Ellis, Senior Warden, Blue Mountain Lodge, and also the Senior Warden at Northern Star Lodge, past Grand Senior Deacon of the Grand Lodge of Maine, for joining us today like he had a choice. So final thoughts, Brian.
I just want to, of course, thank you two for, and I do it all the time. This Men at Tyre thing has been absolutely amazing. I love doing it with you both. I always thank Matt for letting me be his senior warden at Northern Star, because I feel like we have created something amazing there, and we're continuing to do that. And I'm very blessed to have done and be doing what I am in Masonry. Really blessed, and I'm blessed to have met so many great brethren. To talk to the brethren that I have, it really, really has been a blessing, and I'm very thankful all the time to be able to do that, to do the appendant bodies that I do, the education that I do, and just meeting everyone. It's very humbling, and any brother that wants to travel, all you got to do is just put your foot forward. Really, take the footstep forward. Be humble. It's a humbling fraternity. Be humble, be kind, be nice, and this fraternity will do so much for you. And go explore, do some things that maybe it's outside your comfort zone. Masonry has taught me so much about leadership in ways that I didn't think possible. And I've been in the Navy for 20 years. Masonry will teach you leadership quirks and lessons that you won't learn anywhere else, that will help you going forward. So, I love the craft. I love both of you. Thank you for letting me be a part of this journey that has become, a pretty awesome journey. And I look forward to the next 10 years and see where that goes.
Well, I don't want to speak for Matt. Yeah, I was gonna say I don't want to speak for Matt, but love you too, man, and thank you for jumping in on all of this as well. And we also want to thank you for coming to us live from Bailey's Island as well. We know it's a huge undertaking. So, with that, Matt, final thoughts, and then I promise I will ask you the last question. I promise.
No, again, just like what you said, Brian. I'm thankful for this group we have here. Thankful for you as well, Bill, and yeah, thanks for doing this.
So Matt, since I know you're chomping at the bit, the final question, this is the chat question, so we're going to ask you first, then we'll ask everybody else. If you could instantly become an expert at one completely useless skill, what would it be and why?
Completely useless skill, knowing if somebody has an itch and where. They could never hide it from me. It always, like in the airport, I could walk up and just, itch them behind the shoulder blade. You're welcome. You just walk away. It's kind of useful though, isn't it? I'd use it for that, right?
I think another good is knowing what my cats are thinking. I don't know if that's a good or bad thing if I had that skill, but that might help me in the morning.
I've really got to tackle Matt's first, and then I'm going to come back to you. Now, I want everybody to picture from our previous episodes. Matt has already said he wants to be Big Bird when he grows up. He has said that he wants to be a geologist. No, earth science specialist. And now his special skill is he wants to know when somebody is itchy so he can scratch them. Are you seeing what I'm working with? I just want everybody to see that. This is what I'm working with. Second of all, I agree with you, Brian. No, I'm kidding. My
girlfriend, I'm like a dog. I just like to be helpful.
I'm not sure that's what she means. So all of my skills are useless, so I really can't answer this question. All of my skills are useless. So that's it. That's all I got.
It's funny. I just thought of it too. Me knowing ritual the way I do is probably a useless skill to the masses of the world. Like I don't
think it's useless.
No, I think it's good, but just I'm thinking to myself, I can't just go into an office and start doing the EA degree. I can't give them a lecture, You were deprived of all minerals and metals. I can't do that. I can't, I can't say, I can't go to a person and introduce my president as a poor blind candidate.
Walk up to somebody and say, you will now be hoodwinked.
You'll now suffer yourself to be hoodwinked. Yes. The candidate is in due form. What the frick does that mean? Like, I can't. So I ritual has a purpose, I do, but as a working thing, I'm realizing that's a pretty useless skill I have right now that I can do ritual.
Limited. Yeah. All right, everybody. That is the end of, believe it or not, episode number 10 of the Men of Tyre episode. We've made it 10 episodes. Fantastic. Way to go, guys. Again, want to thank Brian for joining us today, and great episode. Brian, any idea what we got to talk about next?
So just looking as we are about to come up on America's 250th birthday, boy, 4th of July coming up already. Boy, that came fast.
Sure
Uh,
did.
just want to recognize this time. It's been it's a great time to see the American parades and the cookouts and just all the festivities that have been going on. Just happy birthday, America, and you know, happy birthday, Masonry too. Kind of goes hand in hand. Masonry and America have gone hand in hand since the beginning, and I'm sure it will go on, going forth. But it's veterans and Masons have that special bond together. And to all the families, enjoy the birthday and just enjoy the celebration of 250 years as a nation.
Good call. I'm going to throw both of you under the bus on this. How many of the founding fathers were actually Masons?
13. How many signers?
I think that's actually pretty accurate, Matt. I think so. We'll have to look it up, but I'm pretty sure you're right on. Pretty amazing when you think about it, though. Yeah, cool.
It's amazing that the Masons brought the values and ideals of Masonry and put that into forming the United States of America. It's pretty neat.
You got to think a lot of the Masonic values actually influenced a lot of what we see in the world today, or at least in America today.
Yeah. When George Washington was making, this country, if you will, he had no blueprint. He had no how to make America for dummies, if you will. There was none of that. And the people looked at him from his military background and just how he was to trust him to lead and make this nation, if you will. He believed in unity and he understood that you could not do this alone and divided. And he got that through Masonry. He got that through the unity of brethren on the level and on the square. And I believe he really took that and used that as a blueprint to make the United States.
Can you imagine what it'd be like today if we were to do this all over again, starting from today with today's society? Like, wow, scary.
Yeah, I don't think it was much. I don't think it was as different, back then too. I think there was a lot of differences back then. I think there was a lot of differences of opinions, just like today. Maybe none on a grander scale, if you will. But yeah, no, there was a lot of great men, a lot of great people that believed somehow they believed in the foresight, the power of foresight, and they really believed that what they were doing, their mindset was not about the now. It was about today where we are, and they had that ability to think that. I just think that's amazing. That's something we could take a lesson from is when we do things, can we do them for those that we're never going to meet?
I'm thinking 250 years out, that's pretty crazy. Yep. Great thoughts. All right, guys, well, that's a wrap. Let's close it down. We're done for this episode. Stay tuned for episode number 11, because I'm not sure who we got going, but I'm sure we'll find out pretty soon. Oh, there he is.
Signing out from Bangor.
Oh, for God's sakes. I knew it was going to happen. Not in Bangor. We love you all. Stay safe. Yeah, I think you did good.
Anything you want to say? Anybody you want to yell at?
I am super glad that, there he is. He's coming right up to it. Yeah, he zoomed right up to it. Man, I don't know how you get that effect, but I like it.
I'm going to edit it. This is going to be the first 6-minute episode.
Oh.
We haven't had one yet, so it was bound to happen.
You got that bleep button ready?
Yeah.
Oh, dude, totally.
Ready, yeah.
Not saying it will, someone to come in and change. No, No.
Yeah. Same. It's okay. It's okay. It's just Bill.
Why do you gotta be yelling?
Why not?
Get the senior warden
I
all
can think
wound
of
up.
I can think of several different reasons.
Hello, Bill.
Well, hello there, Matthew.
All right, I'm gonna go into my bat cave.
Oh,
I picture it more as a cave of wonders or a cave of horrors. Either way. Oh, tonight is going to be a Tylenol PM night, I think.
is it?
I also got an Amazon order today. Look at those.
Oh, nice. Oh, those are nice, Bill.
Nice.
I got
They
mine
are
too.
leather.
I haven't opened it yet, but I know it's my apron and my apron case. I'm so excited. It's like Christmas. I'm so excited.
You got an apron case?
I did.
I like Matt's bag, the one that Monique got him.
Oh, the Indiana Jones bag. Yes, very nice.
Oh,
Yeah, really
dude,
well done.
totally. It fits his hat perfectly.
You call him Senior Warden, doll.
We start our own appendant body and call it Great Grand. All of our officers Great Grand.
Great grandfather. Great grandfathers.
Like, I'm pretty sure you blacked out at least twice, for sure.
A little bit. No, I was more or less looking down at my notes, trying to figure out what I was gonna say.
All right, Matt, if you are you good?
He's nervous.
He's and rightly so, because he's got to interview his senior warden. I'd be terrified. He's trembling in his boots.
Yeah.
If he's wearing boots.
Okay. Yeah, I suppose I am ready.
You suppose so?
Yeah.